Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In our today's video, we will discuss about the stability of control system. So let's start. Control system analysis and design focus on three specifications that are transient response, stability, and third one is steady state error. So far, we have discussed about the transient response specifications. Now we will discuss about the stability, the most important one. If the system is unstable, there is no need to find the transient response specification, also the steady state error, because the system, if the system is unstable, it is of no use. It can damage the property or the human beings. So the system must be stable in order to work properly. We can control the output of a system only if the steady state response consists only the forced response, which means the system is stable. The total response of a system consists of is the sum of forced response and the natural response. The natural response of the system should be zero in the steady state condition, and only forced response should be present. Force response is due to the input of the system. Force response is due to the input of the system. We can control the output only if the steady state condition, the output is consisting of the force response. Natural response is due to the system. Let's take an example. Here we have a first order system. The pole of the system is at -5, 0 is at -2, and the input pole due to the unit step is at 0. If we multiply the input with the transfer function, we get the output. After solving using partial fraction, we get the output C of S is equal to 2 over 5 over S plus 3 over 5 divided by S plus 5. From here, if we convert the output into the time domain, we get C of t. From here, we can see that due to the input pole, we have this portion. But this portion is due to the input. From the system pole, we get this exponential term. This exponential term, e raised to power minus 5t, is due to this system pole, and the system 0 is making the amplitude of the output. From this decaying exponential, we can see that it is e raised to power minus 5t. At infinity time, this will approach to 0 and only force response will remain present. Transient and the steady state response of a system can be controlled only if the system is stable. Let's take an example of a elevator. When the 4th floor button is pressed, the elevator rises to the 4th floor with a speed and floor leveling accuracy designed for passenger comfort. So here we can see that when the elevator rises from the ground floor to the 4th floor, its response consisting of transient response, and when it reaches within 98% of the final value, that is 4, we get the steady state response. And if any error is present, this will be represented as the steady state error. We have already said that transient response should be such that the passenger comfort and passenger patience should not be compromised, which means that it should be smooth and with a speed that should not disturb the passenger that is traveling in the elevator. But what if the system is not stable? The output will not stay here. It will keep increasing and we cannot get the final value as desired. So stability is the most important factor. Now we discuss few definitions of the stability, how we can exactly define the stability. First, we will discuss using the only nature response perspective, and then we'll discuss the total. Stability can be defined as a linear time invariant system is stable if the natural response approaches to zero as time approaches infinity. Like our in previous example, the natural response was e raised to power minus 5t. That means the response will equal to zero as the time approaches infinity. What is the instability? A LTI system will be unstable if the natural response grows without bound as time approaches infinity. If the natural response was a growing exponential, then the system will be unstable. And what about the marginally stable system? A LTI system is marginally stable if the natural response neither decays nor grows but remains constant or oscillates as time approaches infinity. So it means our input is making the force response. If the output at the steady state or infinity is consisting of the natural response, then we cannot get our desired input. So, or we cannot control the system. So that's why the system will be unstable or marginally stable. If the natural response is not clear from our calculations, we require the definition of total response perspective. So let's define: a system is stable if every bounded input yields a bounded output, and system will be unstable if every bounded input yields an unbounded output. From these definitions, we realize that if the input is bounded and the total response is not approaching infinity as the time approaches infinity, then the natural response is obviously not approaching infinity. If the input is unbounded, we see an unbounded total response and we cannot arrive at any conclusion about the stability of the system. We cannot tell whether the total response is unbounded because the force response is unbounded or because the natural response is unbounded. Thus, our alternate definition of stability, one that regards to the total response and implies the first definition based upon the natural response, is this. That is, the system should be stable if every bounded input yields a bounded output. We call this statement the bounded input bounded output definition. of the stability. So let's take an example. Here we have a third order system. It has 3 poles. All the poles are in the left half plane, and input is unit step function, which means bounded input. The output should also be bounded. From here we can see the output at steady state is equal to the 1 unit step. So that's why from other output or from the location of the poles, we can see that this system, this closed loop system is stable. And here in this system we have poles on the right half plane. If any pole is in the right half plane, the system will be unstable. Or if we don't have the pole location, from the output we can also see that in the case of bounded input, the output is unbounded. So it means the system is unstable. So cause of problems in finding closed loop poles. In our previous discussions, we solved different systems and find the transfer function. That was mostly the second order systems. So it was easy to find a closed loop pole. But here in this example, we see that this is a fifth order system. The open loop poles are very easy to find. For example, at 0, -4, -6, -8, and -10. But the closed loop system poles are very difficult to find because of the fifth order. Poles for the forward transfer function are known, but for the closed loop system, because of the fifth order polynomial, we need to factorize the characteristic polynomial to find the roots of the closed loop transfer function. We require a lot of calculations, lot of knowledge of calculus to solve this. Location of the poles of the closed loop systems are not known unless we solve this characteristic polynomial, and this will be solved by factorizing or other method of solving or finding roots, either numerically or analytically. So because this is difficult to solve, we have drawn some conclusions about the stability of the system after viewing this polynomial without solving. If the transfer function has poles only in the left half plane, then the factors of denominator consist of the product of terms s plus alpha I. I can be different range, I can be different values depending on the order of the polynomial. For example, if we have fifth order system, we will have I ranging from 1 to 5. So if this alpha term is in the right half plane, so here we will have a negative sign, because let's solve this. If for example we have s plus 5 or s plus 5 plus 3 iota, here we have only real root and here we have a complex root. This term should be positive if we want our poles in the right half plane. In this case, the pole is at -5, and in this case, the pole is at -5 minus 3j. So here we have our, so this term is not important in this case because we require that this real portion should be in the left half plane. So this term should be positive and this term should be positive. This is our requirement of the stability. So alpha is real and positive or complex with a positive real part. This is our requirement for all the roots in the left half plane. If here we have s minus 5, which means s is equal to 5, so the pole is in the right half plane and system will be unstable. The product of terms s plus alpha I is a polynomial with all positive coefficients. So this is our first requirement. The coefficients should be positive. So that's why we'll move when finding the value of s, we will get pole in the left half plane. No term of the polynomial can be missing. So it's important. For example, if in this case s raised power 4 is missing, this term, if let's consider that, suppose that this term is not present. So in this case, this system should not be stable. This is either marginally stable or unstable. So no term should be missing from the polynomial. If, for example, if the polynomial is starting from s raised power 4, so s raised power 3, s raised power 2, and s plus constant, all should be present. No cancellation between positive and negative coefficients in the factor. This is due to the, if all the polynomials are present, we can see that the no positive or negative coefficients are present. A sufficient condition for a system to be unstable is that all signs of the coefficient of denominator of the transfer function are not the same. We have positive and negative values here in the coefficients. So this is also a sufficient condition for the unstability. If power of s are missing, the system is either unstable or marginally stable, as we have already discussed. If all coefficients of the denominator are present and no coefficient is no s raised power missing, we are uncertain about the system pole location. If the conditions defined here are fulfilled, still we don't exactly know the pole location. How we find about the stability of the system if all coefficients are greater than 0. If we want to find the exact location of the pole and not just telling the system is stable or unstable, a computer simulation can be used to determine the stability by calculating the root locations of the denominator of the closed loop transfer function. However, another method to test for stability without having to solve for the roots of the denominator is available, that is Routh-Hurwitz criteria. In our next video, we will discuss this method to finding the stability of the system. So let's recap. In our today's video, we have discussed that any control system has three specifications: transient response, stability, and steady state error. In our previous videos, we discussed about transient response specification. In our today's video, we discuss about the stability. In our next video, we will discuss about the way to exactly solve for the stability of the system. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Thank you very much.